Today we're talking about Tesla and a very popular EV startup that also happens to be a very popular stock, with some similarities to Tesla's stock. At the time of filming this video, Tesla clearly has a huge advantage for electric cars. Other companies are starting to catch on, and in the next few years, we should be seeing a bunch of solid options all over the market. But for the time being, Tesla is at the forefront with a market cap of $782 billion. We've talked about a few upcoming, unexpected competitors to Tesla, especially competing in self-driving. We talked about Xpeng and how many see them as a Tesla clone, Amazon's Zoox, Google's Waymo, but today we're talking about a company with a market cap of $88 billion, Nio. They're a smaller company delivering a total of 36,721 cars in the entire year of 2020, but they currently have the 5th largest market cap of any automaker out there. They beat out companies like BMW, Honda, Ford, and more, and they just recently announced some very exciting new products, so let's get into it and see how they stack up against Tesla in the future. Tesla closed out 2020 delivering 500,000 cars, which was their goal. This was especially impressive since their factory was forced to shut down earlier in the year, and many people weren't in a place financially to go out and buy an expensive electric car. In Q4, they delivered 180,570 cars in total, 160,000 of which were their lower-priced Model 3 and Model Y. Those vehicles are both very popular, and the Model Y is now being produced at Tesla's Shanghai factory, along with the Model 3 specifically for the Chinese market. They are expanding these cars, opening new factories, and rumors are strong that they will be refreshing the Model S and Model X soon, which could make those cars even more appealing to people in the market. On top of this, they are hard at work on full self-driving, with Elon saying they will achieve Level 5 in 2021, and most people doubting that timeline, but also seeing how far Tesla is ahead on their ventures. Nio is a Chinese car company with a slogan and Chinese name that means blue sky coming. This is their philosophy, and according to them, it stands for their commitment to a brighter tomorrow. It seems to somewhat be taking Tesla's vision a step further and being a little more active about the ideas and branding behind it. Tesla's vision is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, with Elon Musk saying things like this.
The whole point of Tesla is to accelerate the advent of electric vehicles and sustainable transport.
So
we're trying to help the environment. We think it's a most serious problem that humanity faces. So if somebody comes and makes a better electric car than Tesla, and it's so much better than ours that we can't sell our cars and we go bankrupt, I still think that's a good thing for the world.
Nio claims to be the next generation car company. Their website says, quote, "The automotive industry is on the cusp of profound change. We believe it isn't just products and technology that must change. It is how people use their products and their entire ownership experience. We want you to feel positive again about owning a car." They have offices mainly in China, as well as Munich, Oxford, and San Jose, California. They first started by making a Formula E race car and followed that up with their EP9 that introduced battery swapping, which we'll get into more in a minute. They later introduced their EVE concept car. It's their vision of a fully autonomous car for the future, and it essentially looks like a living room on wheels. And then came their passenger vehicles, which are definitely more than just concepts. First was their ES8, which they call a smart electric flagship SUV. It includes a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack that gets 580 kilometers on a charge, based on the NEDC estimate, which tends to score a lot higher than an EPA estimated range. Just for comparison's sake, if we compare that to the Tesla Model Y in China, Tesla lists a range of 594 kilometers on a much smaller 75 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Nio includes a driver assistance system similar to Autopilot called Nio Pilot, along with Nomi, which is their in-car AI system. The interior is clearly inspired by Tesla, with a large display controlling a lot of the main functions of the car, but they also have quite a bit of traditional buttons in the interior as well. One feature this car introduced, and was one of the first to do so, is battery swapping. In a Tesla, you have the battery that your car has, just like a modern cell phone. You can charge up at home, use most electric vehicle stations, or take advantage of their incredibly large supercharger network. Nio has taken this idea one step further. You can of course charge at home and at most electric charging stations, but they also have their own Nio power stations, similar to superchargers, mobile chargers that come charge your car where you're at, and the big one, battery swapping. Quote, "Enabled by over 1,200 patented technology, Nio Power Swap, the first of its kind, offers an ultimate and exclusive power service experience. It only takes 3 minutes to swap a fully charged battery. Automatic battery and electric system checks are performed during each swap to keep both the vehicle and battery in the best shape. It seems like it's probably a little longer than 3 minutes in practice, but they have over 160 plus power swap stations as of December 23rd of 2020. This is a vastly different idea than what Tesla designs for, and as far as convenience is concerned, it's a fantastic option. You drive into a battery swapping station, you presumably pay a normal rate, Nio swaps out your battery, and you're good to go within a few minutes. This is much faster than charging at even a 250 kilowatt supercharger. For people who are used to the amount of time it takes to fill up a gas car and don't want to sacrifice that on a road trip, this is definitely appealing. As you can see, however, it's a very complicated process. I imagine maintenance being very intense on these automated battery swapping facilities, and as of right now, there are only a little over 160 of these stations out there. Now, they are a smaller company, and part of why their stock is probably as valued as it is because of their future potential. If they can figure out a technology like this and continue to expand battery swapping stations, that could be a great option for the future, and I'd love to see where this goes. My hunch, however, is that battery swapping will prove to be incredibly expensive and won't actually be a long-term sustainable option for companies. They'll be great for customers, but the upfront cost as well as upkeep of these stations compared with normal charging stalls is a huge difference. Interestingly, Tesla actually looked into and demoed this technology a few years back with the Model S. They showed how quickly a battery swap could be, but they ended up abandoning the idea for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. And now they're actually going the complete opposite direction, where the battery pack itself will actually be part of the structure of the car. Tesla's plans are to keep expanding their supercharger network, and honestly, for the vast majority of people, this option will be just fine. The majority of owners charge at home overnight, and this is incredibly convenient. The main time that superchargers are actually necessary is on a road trip when you actually need to drive more than the range of your battery. So the majority of the time charging at home, you're saving time from going to a gas station, but on a road trip, you're definitely going to add time for each charging stop. For example, when you drive up from Southern to Northern California, you'll need to stop at least once and usually twice or more. The official Tesla trip planner for the Model Y with 326 miles of range schedules 2 charging stops. The first is 40 minutes and the second is 15 minutes. You're saving on gas and not directly polluting the air, but compared to 5-minute gas stops, you're adding at least 40 minutes to your journey. Tesla does have long-term plans for even faster charging, but for now, their cars that they currently sell max out at 250 kilowatts. In my experience, a stop for 20 minutes or so doesn't really bother me because I go use the restroom, I get some food, or do whatever else, but a 40-minute stop is when it gets into that territory where you kind of just want to get back on the road. So for charging solutions, this is about where we're at currently, which is why Nio introduced their power swap. Their Nio power chargers charge up from 20 to 80% in a half an hour, and their mobile power chargers give you 100 kilometers of range in 10 minutes. So they're definitely doing similar things to Tesla with the addition of this battery swap technology, and we'll see how this expands in the future. They just announced their version 2 of these packs that can handle up to 312 battery pack swaps per day. Well, after the ES8, Nio announced the ES6. Overall, that car was fairly similar to the ES8, and then came the EC6. Interestingly, when you look at this in certain angles, it does look very similar to the Tesla Model Y and has an interior just like the ES6 and ES8 with some more premium features. Most recently, Nio announced the ET7, which they say is, quote, ready for tomorrow. This car adds some autonomous driving sensors to the body of the car without looking like something distracting like Waymo's hardware. This car is all about luxury and even takes the cabin vent design from the Tesla Model 3, which doesn't technically have vents. With its largest battery pack, it boasts a range of 1,000 kilometers or about 620 miles. While their other vehicles have included some semi-autonomous features, the ET7 is going the extra mile with their Aquila system. It features 33 sensing units, an ultra-long-range high-resolution LiDAR, high-resolution cameras, driver monitoring, radar, ultrasonic sensors, and more. According to them, quote, it redefines the standard of autonomous driving sensing systems. They have pretty much all of their bases covered as far as hardware is concerned. It looks like this system at least has their own version of Tesla's entire autopilot suite, along with their own version of LiDAR, an FSD computer, and more. Quote, Nio has built up the full-stack NAD capability with developing perception algorithms, localization, control strategy, and platform software in-house. NAD will gradually cover use cases of expressways, urban areas, parking, and battery swap to enable a safer and more relaxing autonomous driving experience from point A to point B. We haven't seen their self-driving system in action, but they seem very confident in the system they are building, and they are very clear on their website about how they are taking care of every possible scenario with the hardware built into ET7. They even went as far as to compare their equivalent to Tesla's full self-driving computer, saying it can do 7 times the operations per second that Tesla's full self-driving computer can do. Most likely, it will come down to the software, which Tesla has been clear is the biggest obstacle, since that's the thing actually using the data to drive the car. So while having a chip that is 7 times faster than Tesla's is probably helpful, it will also consume more power, cost more, and not actually arrive until this car releases. The ET7 isn't fully scheduled to come out until 2022. In late 2022, there will be a 150 kilowatt hour battery that will get that full 1,000 kilometer or 620 mile range. The interesting thing here is that this will actually be a solid-state battery pack. Solid-state batteries are something that have been on people's minds for a long time, with the potentials of this technology being vastly superior to current battery technology. Most recently, QuantumScape claims to have developed a production-ready solid-state battery with cells made of dry conductive materials and claiming production in 2024. According to QuantumScape's CEO, quote, "We don't see anything on the horizon that's going to be close to what we're doing." Tesla uses lithium-ion batteries, the same technology that most EV companies use, but Tesla has some advantages that we'll talk about in a second. QuantumScape says that its solid-state batteries give a significant improvement, enabling EVs that can travel 80% further, retain more capacity after many cycles, charge faster, and not catch on fire. Again though, as I mentioned, they are claiming that they will be in production in 2024, which is still 3 years away. We don't know much about the solid-state battery pack that Nio plans to include in the long-range version of the ET7, but there are some rumors that they will be using a Chinese company called Solid State Lion to supply their batteries. This technology has been talked about for a while and proven on a small scale, but we have only heard reports about what this technology will bring, no actual evidence of how it performs in a production car. QuantumScape has made big claims, Toyota has made big claims, and now Nio is claiming that they will have the ET7 with a solid-state battery getting 1,000 kilometers of range in late 2022. This brings us to the main difference between Nio and Tesla. Nio was founded in 2014, Tesla was founded in 2003. Tesla has dealt with all sorts of production issues and scaling issues, leading Elon Musk to many times repeat the idea that volume production is incredibly difficult. Now, Nio is producing vehicles in high numbers, but still small potatoes compared to Tesla. And Tesla is delivering cars in small numbers compared to the main automakers out there. This is because Tesla is a new company producing more expensive cars and producing exclusively electric cars, which are entirely new to the market, at least on this scale. People are just catching on to these cars, and the prices are just starting to drop to places that more and more people can afford. Tesla realizes that the biggest obstacle with EV adoption is price. At the end of the day, they won't be able to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy if they can only ever make products that start at $38,000. This is why they talked so in depth about their plans for the future at their Battery Day event last year. They have scaled up the Model 3 and now Model Y, and have had to build out charging infrastructures, all while trying to keep costs of their vehicles as low as possible and continue to drop them. They see where battery production is currently at, and even if a technology like solid state comes along and is superior, it won't matter if it can't be scaled or implemented at an affordable price. Nio, on the other hand, is working with a lot of amazing technologies that Tesla has likely grown past. The battery swapping technology is a primary example. Tesla demoed this on the Model S, as I mentioned earlier, but they ended up dropping the concept because it's an incredibly complicated idea. While battery swapping is surely superior to a 25-minute charging stop at a supercharger, it will come at a very large cost over time for the company. It's going to be far easier for Tesla to put up charging stalls in a city as opposed to putting up a battery swapping station in that city. Nio is also working with solid-state batteries, and they would be one of the first electric car makers to implement solid-state into their vehicles. Currently, we don't have any idea as to what the cost would be for this technology, but since it's so new and people like QuantumScape aren't expecting production for 3 years, it will likely be very pricey. The idea of an incredibly long-range EV is great, but if it comes at an insane cost, they will only sell a handful to customers, and it won't help them scale up anytime soon. Tesla is sticking with lithium-ion, but implementing some new technologies, factory processes, and more that they can actually see scaling in the future. They are planning to scale their own battery production facilities along with third-party manufacturers to the point where they can make a $25,000 EV with compelling features and range. Last we heard, they're even planning on producing this EV next year in China. So it's very possible that around the time Nio is producing their flagship, very expensive ET7 with solid-state batteries, Tesla will be moving in the opposite direction, producing their affordable $25,000 EV that should be incredibly popular. In order to do this, they need tons and tons of battery cells. They have the experience of ramping up EVs to the point where they know what they can do in the future, where supply constraints are, and where cost savings can actually be gained. Long term, however, if a technology like solid state comes out, is far superior, ends up making sense cost-wise, and can be scaled, I see no reason why Tesla wouldn't shift to using this battery tech. My hunch though is that it will need a similar process to what Tesla already did with lithium-ion batteries in their cars. Meaning this technology will be expensive but incredible, and Tesla will first implement it in an expensive car like the Roadster. Over time, if costs make more sense, they can go down their line of vehicles by cost and put the best technology in all of their cars if solid state truly turns out to be superior. So Nio appears to be making great electric cars with some amazing charging options on a smaller scale. They're also going all in on self-driving with their upcoming ET7 using Tesla's approach plus LiDAR. We'll see what the future holds for their self-driving tech, but for the time being, my overall conclusion is that they are working with awesome technology that will be difficult to scale. Tesla is focused on cost savings wherever possible, and long term, this should help them scale up or down to a $25,000 EV. But what are your thoughts on Nio? Many people like to follow their stock since they are a smaller company but worth more than a lot of big names in the industry. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, make sure to like this video if you appreciated it. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at RyanShawTech. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.